presence. If you will join us in our invocation, then we'll ask Mr. Westbrook to lead us in our pledge. Kind Heavenly Father, we thank you today for all the many blessings that you bestowed upon us as undeserving creatures as we are. We realize that you know every circumstance and stand as the sovereign and control of all things and all times. And we ask you, Father, if it be thy will to look down upon us all in a special way, to help us to look unto thee who is the author and finisher of our faith. Bless this meeting this day, bless our great state, our county, our nation. Help us all that we could ever be mindful one of another. Bless our many varied communities, and we are thankful for the places that we reside. We are thankful for the people that we serve, and we trust in a special way that you would give us grace to serve you acceptably with reverence and with godly fear. Continue with us now. Again, accept our thanks in Jesus' name. Amen. Westbrook.
Face the flag. Attention. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated, please. Again, we thank you for your presence. We'll expedite this as quickly as possible this morning. The first item is to approve our announcements. Gentlemen, I believe you all received them by mail. If any changes need to be made, if there is not, I'll ask for a motion to accept them as you received.
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Many favor, that be known as saying aye. Any opposed, state your objection. Thank you. Let the record so state. It was unanimous. Let me say this morning that we're still operating as staff, as commissioners, Mr. Cotton, Ms. Woodman are not here today. They'll be here last time. They'll be here next time. We hopefully will be back on our regular schedule in the near future. And let me say this also, that all that we do today has been approved by them also. They looked over all the items on the agenda, and there was no disagreement with the items that we will deal with today. So at this particular time, we begin our agenda with road department. Road department update, Mr. Broughton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We going to brief, we don't have a lot of new things to update you on. We are on hold currently on our County Road 835 project. We received a couple of pretty big rains. It's got so wet we can't get out with loaded trucks right now. Also couldn't get into the dump site where we're hauling to, so we're going to be on hold. I don't expect we'll be able to work up there this week. Went up this morning, and there's a lot of water standing around, so I don't expect it to dry enough to be able to get back on that this week. So hopefully, maybe next week we can get started back on it. All our mowing crews are still mowing. Part of them have started on their third round. As you know, we didn't get to spray this year, so that is increased workload on our mowing crews, but they've really kept up, I think, pretty well, all things considered. But they're still doing that, and they'll be doing that till we have a frost that maybe kills this stuff and stunts it back. So still running our patch trucks every day. It's a never-ending process to keep potholes patched, but we're doing that. While we're on hold on the County Road 835 project, we actually have the trucks hauling into District 2. They're hauling some chert, getting some roads ready to put some treated base material on. So we're going to be working on that on these days, and we're not able to work on 835. About all I have for you. We have an update. If you have any questions, I'll try to
Thank you,
answer.
Mr. Broughton. Any question? If not, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Next item is engineering. Mr. Luther, federal aid projects.
Good morning. As we had talked previously, I was hoping we were out of the federal aid project business, but we are thankful to ALDOT for providing us some additional A-TRIP funds, which has turned loose some of our previously obligated federal aid funds. With that fact, we have to go back back into initiating some projects to spend that money down so we can get back into the, SWAT money next year. So I would like to initiate 2 projects for this next year. One will be in District 2, will be County Road 26, and one in District 3, County Road 83. Both of these are resurfacing projects, so I would request the commission pass resolution to enter into these projects.
Thank you, Mr. Luther. Any question? If not, then do your motion to honor this request.
Motion to honor.
Here, second.
Second.
Motion second in discussion. Many in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Anyone opposed, that's objection. Thank you. Snow and ice removal.
ALDOT has requested, the county provide them a quote as we have over the years for snow and ice removal on state roads. Tommy and I have talked about it. It's been a very long time since we've really changed our rates, other than several years ago. We added standby rates for the time that we may be on standby versus actual work. But this year, we decided to increase our rates 3% across the board on each of those items to help to account for increases mostly in salaries, step raises for these employees that they have been getting over the years. But our main rate has stayed the same. We just want to increase it 3%, which is just a few dollars for each of these items. So I would request the commission to approve us entering into this agreement, providing these rates to Outlaw.
This is something we do every year. It's just formality, but the 3%, not a great deal of money. It's very fair. We appreciate you all taking the time to overlook or not overlook, but overtake these particular problems. We appreciate it so very much. Any questions? Again, we thank you, Mr. Luther. Do I hear a motion on this request?
I'll make a motion.
Here, second.
Second.
Motion second in discussion. As many in favor, let me know by saying aye. Anyone opposed, say your objection.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff's Office Personnel, Mr. Gregg.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We got quite a few things, mostly transfers. Do you want me to just do it, read it all?
I believe they had it in their packet. I haven't reviewed it yet. I think all of you looked over these things. Go ahead, let's do it all at once.
Yes, sir.
If there's a question, we'll stop you
Okay.
and let you explain.
All right, first, we'd like to hire Kim Wright, to replace Tyler Pruitt as a PIO.
And let me say this, this is all revenue neutral,
Yes, sir.
also, so keep that in mind. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Transfer Bo Cagle, from SRO to patrol. Transfer Levi Bates from patrol to transport, and transfer Tim Devlin from transport to SRO. All 3 of those just kind of swap spots. We got a transfer from dispatch, Regina Wilson, transfer her from dispatch to corrections to replace a vacant spot left by the promotion of Tim Smith, to correction sergeant, I think at the last meeting. Like to move Sarah McAnally, from part-time dispatch to full-time dispatch to replace, Regina Wilson's spot. And, hire Jenna Lee Roberts as a part-time dispatcher to replace Sarah McAnally. Transfer Kevin Akins, to transport corrections officer to replace, Will Formby's spot. Promote Kizzy Jones to deputy chief of corrections. And promote Mickey Bowen to executive assistant.
Exactly what you leave.
That's it.
Thank you. Gentlemen, you have this, all this information in the packet, but is there any question that needs to be clarified and answered, with the list you presented? If not, then do I hear a motion to honor their request?
Make a motion.
Your second.
Second.
Motion second in discussion. Many in favor, let me know by saying aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. Revenue Commission, personnel. Ms. Wilson not here, Ms. Sharp, you gonna handle this item?
Mr. Wilkes wants to, post a position to replace, a vacancy from a part-time position. Joyce Butcham had resigned her position some time ago, and she was replaced. One of her full-time people went part-time, so he wants to post that position.
Any questions concerning the request? If not, this place the position. If not, do I hear a motion to honor Mr. Wilkes' request?
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Any favor, let me know by saying aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you. Continue, Mr. Sharp, with the third part of the resolution.
This is part of our rural public transportation project. We have agreements each year that we do with third parties. Those include the City of Fort Payne, ARC, Council on Aging. Council on Aging is actually one of our, of course, it's one of our agencies, but they have to do a contract with rural public transportation to provide transportation for the seniors. And then this year, they're gonna add Crown Health as one of their contract for this third party resolution. So we need approval to sign the contracts and resolutions, so forth.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Any questions concerning this formality? We do this every year, but it has to be done because the law makes us do it. Statutes binds us to that. Any questions now? If not, do I hear a motion on Mr. Sharp's request?
Motion on.
Your second.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Many in favor, let me know by saying aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you very much. Go ahead with your budget resolution, Mr. Sharp.
I know each of you's had a copy of the budget for about 3 weeks, and I know you've had time to read all of it and digest it and understand it completely. And this is a little bit different than we've done in previous years, just simply because of the CARES Act. We have some funding in there for CARES Act to rural public transportation. Their program has, they're gonna do 100% in their program this year, where normally it is, it's an 80-20 split, so. And then also there's some capital in there, so that's an increase, for their program. The rebuild program, as you know, has went from 6 cents to 8 cents, this year, so that's part of our increase. And I was noticing, coming home from work yesterday, the price per gallon is $1.90, and it was, I remember going in the day before that the gas tax increased, it was $2.08, so we're actually 18 cents below what it was before it increased. So that just tells you the fluctuation in gas prices. I want to read you a couple of highlights that we've got in it. This budget is a little increase from last year, and like I said, the rebuild is part of it. We have a couple of increases in our SRO program. New COPS grant, we're adding 4 officers there. There's a grant for that for the first 3 years, and then after that, the county would have to replace that. The SSUT, which is a revenue that we've had the last few years, and that has continued to increase. Been really our only steady increase to revenue that's continued to keep up with inflation. Most of our, other than the grants and the gas tax that's obviously increasing, very little as far as our revenues have increased. The SSUT is really the only thing that we've had much of an increase in. So what we decided to do this year is to create a separate fund for that and show kind of where that money goes. And of course, most of it's going to go toward the sheriff's office, because that's where most of our increases have been. Besides the 4 deputies on the COPS grant, we did over the last couple of years, we've increased 4 additional deputies, along with other employees that we've went from part-time to full-time over there, and much needed increases that we've had there. So that's where most of our revenue has went as far as SSUT. Do y'all have any questions about anything so far? Is there anything on it, like I said, another thing I want to highlight is the retirement system has approved our plan for the Tier 2 to Tier 1 conversion, which is going to give our Tier 2 employees Tier 1 benefits. That has been approved. That was approved last Tuesday, and so that will go into effect October 1. So those employees will be able to retire under the same benefits as our Tier 1 employees. That there is some cost to the county, it's some cost to those employees, that's gonna be paid from the SSUT. Another thing that we're doing this year is of course, health insurance has went up about every year for the last 5, and it's went up about 32% over the last 5 years. And, I don't know exactly where it's gonna go, from here, but we do see that it's increasing. And so, what we've talked about, and I think all of you are in agreement in it, is what we've done with family coverage is up until a few years ago, employees had to pay the full rate of family coverage. That is gonna go from $692 this year to well over $700 a month. A few years ago, we decided the county was gonna start putting 20% of the insurance coverage to cover that, and we don't have just a tremendous number of employees that participate, but those that do, that costs about $60,000 to $70,000. What we've decided to do is to go from 20% to 30% on the county's participation. That would increase us about $30,000, so we'll be right at about 100 on that. Our other employees, what we pay for regular employee coverage is about $1 million, and what we pay for retiree health insurance, we pay for employees that have worked with the county for a minimum number of years. We pay for their health insurance until they get age 65, and that's about $300,000. So relatively speaking, this is a small amount compared to that. And I do believe with the SSUT, is if that continues to grow as it has, and if we don't lose any of that, hopefully we won't lose any of that, that will continue to be something that we can look forward to help offset some of these deficits that we've had that need to be done. I know a lot of municipalities, I talked to all of our municipalities here in the county and many other counties, and many of those are paying a little bit more on family coverage than what we're able to do. But due to the county's responsibilities, many people don't understand the counties have a lot of obligations that we don't necessarily like, or not that we don't necessarily like, but that we don't necessarily, it's not a choice. We've got some great people here working at the sheriff's office, and David Smith does a great job over at the jail, absolutely great job. But that's an expense that really nobody wants to pay for. Nobody wants to pay for expenses for the jail, but it's a needed thing. If you want to put criminals in jail, somebody's got to pay for it, and that's the county. Of course, as far as roads go, we have tremendous amounts of roads, way more than. I talked to someone and they said, this new gas tax will pay. There's enough money there to pay the streets with gold. Well, I don't think so. We'll get about $900,000 this year, which will, if you're going to pay with asphalt, you're looking at, which we can't do a whole lot with asphalt there because it's $100,000 a mile. So you got 1,500 miles of road, you could do 9 miles of asphalt. So again, just the sheer number of responsibilities there. If we had half the number of miles of road, we could do a really good job. But just simply because of those two responsibilities are huge expenses to the county. And of course, sheriff's office, if you want public safety, you have to pay for it, and that's a huge expense. It's not a voluntary expense, it's something we have to do that goes beyond that. So that's my little soap opera on that. Is there any other questions that you've got? Anything that I've not covered? I know we're going to try the aging program is another program that's continued to grow. It's a great program, but the grant money is just not there. That's a revenue that has been just kind of stuck in place for a long time. We get a little bit of money from some of the municipalities, but a little bit of money to kind of help us a little bit, but it's just very minute compared to what the expenses are. So we're going to put a little bit of the SSUT over there to kind of help prop up that program. And so, but anyway, it's a good budget overall. I think we're level funded for the most part, other than these areas we're talking about. We'll continue to try to provide the best, public services we can with things we've got. So, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Sharp, we appreciate it very much. I know you and the staff have worked hard on this, and we appreciate all that you've done. The way we have to spend money, I think our county is in good financial condition as anyone in the state. With the money that we can spend, that doesn't mean we have all the money we want, because we don't, not even close. But with what we have to spend, and just to show you how effective that is, we just received our 18 and 19 budget reports. I mean, just in the last little while, and all of them, you need to understand this, all of them were without question. That's how good a job these people have done. And I'm happy to be a part of it, and I know you all are. There's not been a question from our state auditors and Mr. Sharp and our staff provide a good job, and our employees and department heads provide good information to keep them informed and make the decisions that they have to make. And I want you to know that as president of the commission that I appreciate that, because I'm the treasurer of the county, and that comes back to me ultimately. But were it not for these people, I shudder to think where we'd be. So, Mr. Sharp, I want to commend you and our staff all over this building for doing that, and the budget is as good as we can do. It's without question as good as we can do. And I'm thankful we can level fund most everything. That's not the case with every county, but we've been able to do that, and because of that, we can go ahead with our business for the next coming year. And of course, a lot of what we do is based on projection too. Most of what we do is based on projection, and projections, the best laid plans for mice and men go fast. But based on our projections, this is what they've done, and I want you to know that I appreciate it so very much. And you gentlemen have received copies of this for the last 3 weeks. Mr. Wood and Mr. Kuykendall also have, and of course they're in agreement. We'll sign a resolution to that effect very shortly with your approval. But any questions or comments that y'all might have to make, Mr. Black, feel free to do so.
Yes, I want to comment, Mr. Sharp, and the rest of the staff. When I'm looking around the surrounding counties, some of them have got in pretty bad financial shape. This COVID-19, and to see a budget that is good or better than last year, I want to thank you for being able to hold the line during the year and not approving things that some people might, even though it's on the budget. I want to comment, John, thank you. Good job y'all do.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Ms. Westbrook.
Commend Mr. Sharp and staff on an excellent job with the budget. I can imagine what a task that is, an endeavor to make that work out the way that it does, because it's quite overwhelming just to sit here and read through it. So I appreciate all that y'all done, especially over the last 4 years.
There's a lot of back and forth, for instance, port cost, which is something that we, in 2001, we got the legislature to put a $40 court cost on that we thought at the time would fund our jail. Well, we call it the new jail. I know these guys don't call it the new jail, but it's the new jail to us. And it was finished in 2006. And those projections had continued to go up, and it looked like that there was going to be enough money to pay the bond issue. Bond issue's almost $700,000 on that. And it got up to about $550,000 around 2008 or 9, and has dropped ever since. So it's down around $300,000 or below now. So we have to find other ways to fund that debt. And so all those things are challenges we have, but the main thing is to try to provide the best services we can citizens of DeKalb County. And that's a responsibility I feel very heavy on me. But also I appreciate working with each of you and the professional manner that you do your jobs, and our staff do a tremendous job being professional and trying to treat every employee and every citizen with the utmost respect. That's what our duty as public servants are, and that's what we try to do.
Thank you, sir. All right, gentlemen, you've had the budget, and you heard Mr. Sharp's presentation. Any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion to adopt the budget for this next year?
Motion to adopt.
Here, second.
Second.
Motion second, in discussion. Many in favor, let it know by saying aye. Anyone opposed, state objection. Let me also state that, Mr. Cocknall and Mr. Woodman also send their approval on this, and we will sign this, resolution, very shortly. So, again, we thank you, for, passing this budget. We thank Mr. Sharp for all the hard work that has gone into it. The next item is, the EMA, emergency operations plan. Mr. Clifton?
Gentlemen, you have had for quite some time, the emergency operations plan, in hand. We actually presented that last fall. We just failed to get it approved, and I apologize for that. That's entirely my fault. What the emergency operations plan does is it is a plan that we have, so in the event we do get an emergency, a tornado, a flood, whatever, that it gives the President of the Commission authority to declare an emergency, and it tells us what we're going to do. It gives us authority to carry out those actions. That's something we have to have in order to get FEMA money. That's something we have to have to get state money, and so that needs to be re-approved at least every 2 years, and then every 5 years. We actually rewrite the whole thing. We do updates throughout that 5-year period. It's reviewed at least every 2 years, and then, like I say, we get it approved by the full commission every 5 years. And especially this being election year, it's time for us to go around and meet with each municipalities, because our plan is an all hazards, all jurisdictions plan. So it means it covers everybody. That puts us all playing out of the same playbook. And so what I need is a resolution from you just to accept that plan for the coming 5-year period.
Thank you, Mr. Clifton. Any questions concerning the, operations plan? It's something that's necessary that we do, because of the process that we're in and state laws that bind us. Any questions about that? Anything from anybody? If not, then do I hear a motion that we, adopt this 2020 emergency operations plan?
I'll make a motion.
Here, second.
Second.
Motion second, in discussion. Any in favor, let it know by saying aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, the Homeland Security grant, Mr. Clifton.
This is just an announcement for you. We're real proud of this. We're proud of, to bring to you, this year in the Homeland Security, grant awards, we got, right at $103,000 worth of upgrades for the county. About $73,000 of that goes into emergency operations upgrades, including, us as well as the sheriff's office, and then an additional $30,000, we got for the sheriff's office to purchase specialized equipment for them. And we just want to let you know that we appreciate your job. And of course, Mr. Posey was instrumental in writing these grants. He's a great grant writer, does a good job. In a secondary announcement, just for your information, I want to let you know that we did have personnel. Matter of fact, we still have personnel down on the Gulf. Two weeks ago today, Hurricane Sally hit. That's the worst hurricane that's hit the state since Ida. Since the storm hit, we've had responders and support personnel and support equipment going down. Matter of fact, Wednesday after the storm hit on Tuesday, we had members of Fort Payne Fire on the Swiftwater team went down to assist with response. Then by Friday, we had generators from the county. Fort Payne Water had generators. I want to thank Mr. Broyles for allowing us to use one of the road department trucks to transport equipment down with. Then I went down last Tuesday, and I worked in operations there until Sunday. One of our employees, J.D. Trammell, has been down there since last Friday, so he was on a 10-day deployment. And, wanna let you know that all of our assets are back in the county, with the exception of, I believe we still have 4 deputies down there until Friday. And they, those folks got hit really, really hard. This was a bad storm, and, they, expressed much appreciation to the county for allowing us to send equipment help. And I, as emergency manager, want you to know how much we appreciate your support, as a commissioner, in allowing us to do such. Thank you so much, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate all that you all have done, and all folks in those counties, South Alabama, very much appreciate that. We're glad to hear about these grant awards. That always gives us a boost, and we appreciate Mr. Posey and others who are very much involved in that. Some years back, over 20 years ago, the Alabama County Commission Association began a government training institute. Even now, new commissioners, as they take office, are mandated with a 50-hour mandate to take certain courses in order that they fulfill their obligation. When I was president of the Alabama County Commissioners Association, we adopted a plan. That's the name of the operation, that plan. But we added different levels to that, because whether you understand it or not, education and what you can do and can't do is the key to government operations. It's not just something that you just take up one day and you know it all. It doesn't work that way. But it takes a series of classes, it takes training, and anybody, say the position that, say Mr. Westbrook's in with the fire and police and the sheriff's office and others, it takes training to keep updated on those particular issues. And that's what we do in county government. And so the Alabama Local Government Training Institute recognizes the accomplishments of those people who have gone above and beyond what is required. Now, usually we announce these awards at our annual meeting, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we did not have a meeting this year. And this year, Mr. Scott Westbrook had completed that second level course system, and they asked me to present this to Mr. Westbrook today because of our lack of meeting last month. But Scott, if you would come around and let me say how much we appreciate your attentiveness to this program, and we appreciate your willingness to go through it, because it's very important for everybody, and we just appreciate all you've done, and we would ask you to continue to remember us in days to come.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, very much. That concludes our meeting for today. Our next meeting will be here in the chamber on October 13th. We will have one meeting next month. The meeting in November is by law required to take place 8 days after the general election. So that will be on a holiday, which is Veterans Day. Am I correct in that, Mr. Shaw? And at that particular time, that meeting will be an organizational meeting that we have to go through by statute. New commissioners will be sworn in at that time, and that organizational meeting will take place on November the 11th. That'll be a Wednesday. And we will notify the press at what time and all of the details that you need to know by then. But our next meeting of this commission will be on October the 13th here in the chambers. That being said, again, we thank you for being here. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Being that objection is so ordered, thank you.